Welcome to the Carr and Seguin Show, hosted by Devon Carr and Paul Seguin, where two Michiganders dive into real estate, outdoors, community building, and everything in between. What is up?
What's going on, man?
We got another show here, episode 70.
Woo.
Halfway to 140.
Boom, boom, boom.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Wonder how old I'll be at 140.
It would be 140.
No. I'll actually be 35. My birthday's coming up.
Ooh.
1 month from tomorrow.
Party on,
1,
Wayne.
2, 3, 4. 4 weeks, 29, 30, 31 days away.
You should go golfing.
It's a Sunday.
You should take the day off and go golfing.
I take every Sunday off. Yeah, right. I try to. Let's go. Where are we going? No, I'm going to come over to your house and we're going to smoke a brisket.
Okay. I'll even supply the beer.
Drink some
since it's your
beers.
birthday.
I'll bring the meat. You get the beers. Keep them cold.
I'll get you a special guac and salsa.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Shoot some guns.
We could probably do that,
Yeah.
depending on where the cows are at.
Can use them for arm rests.
I don't know if they'd appreciate that. There's a few flies out there these days.
Dude, they have seemed like they've gotten a little gnarly lately at our house, too. It's like those freaking, what's those big flies?
Oh, the horse flies?
Yeah. Like, dude, every time I walk out of my house, it's like one's immediately there flying around my head. And I'm like, get out of here.
So irritating.
I know.
So irritating.
And they're like good size. So they're like, I mean,
Right.
they're buzzing and they hit you,
Right?
you know? There's ones that bite too, don't they?
Yeah.
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 It's like, what the frick?
Yeah, they're not. I remember, I think it was a canoe trip on the Pure Marquette River one year. And I mean, I don't know what the deal was, but they were just everywhere. And we just had like a pile of them in the bottom of the canoe, just
Swatting at them and hitting
all
them.
day long.
Got another one.
Ugh,
Yeah.
they are a pain in the butt.
But mosquitoes haven't been bad this year because it's been more dry.
Yeah.
Luckily. I mean, hopefully
Last
so
little
far.
bit, well, shoot, was it? You didn't have to cut your grass for a week, almost, 2 weeks because of the dryness.
I know.
Kind of died out. It's
They're-
been a few years since, I've seen grass kind of turn
Yellow?
yellow.
I know.
Realistically.
No, it definitely is. The grass is slowing down, that's for sure. Just great. I was cutting my grass like twice a week.
Right.
It's like, good Lord, slow down here. But, no, so today in this show, we're talking about just some housing data.
Right.
Numbers. I love numbers.
A lot of crazy talk out there.
There is a lot of talk. There's just crazy talk about, what's going to happen? What does the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months look like?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I hate to tell you, no one has a crystal ball, for one. So we all just have opinions based upon data.
Boom.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know you're talking this a little off record. It's just like you even listen to the feds when they talk, and it's like, do they even know what the frick they're doing?
They openly admitted they don't.
I know.
It was crazy. I
I
think what we learned today was that we don't understand inflation. Oh, that's comforting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. Right.
Or understand how little we know about it or something like that. It was like, ew, what?
Yeah. Way to put comfort
Yeah.
into the nation when you're like, hey, we're gonna try to control this, but we don't even know.
We don't understand it.
We don't understand it. I mean, aren't you the idiots who created it?
Don't tell them that.
Yeah. Oh, no. Can never do that. But first number to look at is building permits. So obviously this data tells you how many building permits are being pulled, which obviously is in a direct report of construction. So that could be a range of renovations and also new builds. I think it doesn't, they only separate, I don't know, they got more data down here where it separates by structure.
Yeah.
But permits by region, which I think this is kind of interesting. And maybe you know more than I would, but like in the last month, so the regions are Northeast, Midwest, South, and West. And the South just dominates building permits, which is just, I mean, is it really because Florida and Texas?
South is below Midwest. Or
Huh?
No, I stand corrected. Yeah, they are dominating.
Yeah, I'm seeing 943,000 building permits in the South, where if you add up Northeast, Midwest, and West, South still beats them combined. I mean, 231 and 130, that's 361. No, barely beats them out. You're at 661, so 961. Yeah, I mean, you're a little over 1 million. If you combine the West, Northeast, and Midwest, South is just under that, which is crazy.
But
so
they have all year, too. I mean,
but this is down by the month. Like even if you go into December,
well, yeah.
even if you go in December, I mean, shoot, the most recent down months were COVID, where pre-COVID we were at. Let's just focus on Midwest because that's kind of where we're located, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pre-COVID, before COVID craziness hit, we were at up to like 225,000 building permits pulled in Midwest. And when COVID hit, and we dropped all the way down to 146,000 for April of 2020. And then obviously the climb from April starting in May, when, at least here in Michigan, is really when everything got opened back up. I know real estate did. It was May 7th. I remember that day like butter.
Right.
May 7th, we're back open. Hey, just so you know, housing is a necessity.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought that was important? But then it shot all the way up. I mean, we just had this huge Top Gun 10G climb. Pulling some 10Gs here on this climb, and we went all the way from 143,000 back up to 246 in the Midwest. All the way, I mean, that was all of 2020 to January of 2021. And then since then, it seems like we in the Midwest have been hovering around this like 250,000 number for building permits. But what the strange stat is this, since March of this year, we were at 260. April, we went to 251. In May, June doesn't look like it's reported yet, but May was 231. So we've seen a straight 3-month decline in building permits. But I want to go down here to, and I know you guys who's listening can't see these graphs, so just kind of follow along the numbers as best as possible. What's interesting is building permits by structure. I don't know if this is really relevant. A little bit. There's no way to break it up by region, but it's just kind of overall. Yeah, that's crazy. So 1 million permits for a single family, 1 unit.
Mm-hmm.
So single family home, which I know is also considered up to 4 units, but 2 to 4 is 55,000, and then 5 plus. Oh, so that's just got to be like more apartments.
Yeah, investment.
Yeah. Shoots up to 592. But it's kind of crazy that a lot of that doesn't really change. I mean, obviously, single family is always going to carry the most of the load compared to large multifamily, which is 5+,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 to 4 units don't carry too much. So to kind of summarize building permits, it does look like the last 3 months we've seen at least here in the Midwest, the South is pretty steady. The West is going down, and so is Northeast. So pretty much 3 out of the 4 regions, building permits 3 months in a row dating back to March, have seen a decline. And if you want an exact kind of number, 260 to 231 is what, a little more than 10%. 260s, 26 grand. It's dropped almost, so probably like 12% drop over the last 3 months. And it's to be expected, right? We're moving into this kind of recession market. And we're feeling it definitely on the purchase side. It's a cooling off.
Yeah.
That we're definitely feeling. I know you rambled some stats. I don't know if you can remember those, but housing new purchase apps were down.
Oh yeah.
7%. Was it?
Applications volume decreased by 5.4%. Applications to purchase were down 4.3% from last week and are down 17% year over year. And then refinances decreased by 7.7% from the previous week and were 78% lower from year over year.
78.
78.
Which is definitely expected since
right
this time last year we were in the 3s.
Yeah.
Low 3s. Maybe tipping high 2s occasionally. And now that we're sitting, currently today we're a 5.65, which after today's markets I'm sure will go back up to closer to 6.
Mm-hmm. But, in terms of, good news if you're a buyer, in the realm of less competition.
100%.
Right there just says it. Just because rates are up a little bit, you have a lot less people to contend with. Say if they were lower, you have 50 offers, and now you're competing with 5.
No,
or less. Obviously
totally.
every house is different, but just because rates are a little higher doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's less people in the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's be real. I think in this sense, obviously nobody likes the higher rates.
Right.
Right? Of course not. But two things on this. Nobody likes the higher rates, but when we were off record, Johnny, the engineer, did mention kind of like a little statement like, you marry the house. I don't know how else to put it. You marry the house, but not your rate.
Right.
Your rate is always going to change. Yes, you're typically taking a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which means your rate's locked in for 30 years. But you're not locked into that loan for 30 years.
Right.
And I think that's what people just need to hear it. Like, guys, yes, is 6% high than where we were? 100%. Where we kind of spoiled? 110%
right.
with rates. Because we can have the same conversation about rates where if we look back on interest rate history, 6% is still low.
Still good.
I'll send you a history graph of interest rates, and 6% will still be way down here compared to where they've been over the history of interest rates. So that already debunks your, they're high. No, they're not. They're higher than what we've had.
Right.
They're not high overall. So there's one myth already busted for you of why you shouldn't buy a house today in this market. And just in regards to what you said, 100%, there's never a better time in the last 2 years to buy a house but right now. And I say that not in a sales or pushy way. It's because I only think, and this is just my opinion, I only think rates are probably going to get better if we really start moving into this recession market, which we already are in a recession. technically.
Right.
We're in,
pointing towards it
Yeah.
for sure.
which typically means lower rates because the feds want to do that to keep the market running, right? It's kind of odd, not to go off on their tangent, but it's very good time right now because of, like you said, there's less competition. I mean, prior to this increase of rates, I mean, we've been seeing just you're going up against 10, 15 offers. How do you compete? It's hard.
Right.
You're writing a really good offer. Like if you to take our offer that just got squashed by 5 other offers and take that and say, hey, we're going to make this offer in 2019, they'd have been like, holy crap, yeah, we'll take your offer right now, right? Like all the stuff, appraisal guarantee, information-only inspection, free 60-day occupancy, 30, 40, 50,000 over asking. Right. But you're not having to do that anymore. Sure, are we still seeing it? Yeah. I think when you have really nice homes in desirable areas,
right,
there's going to be more people looking at that than other homes. And I think that was the thing for the last 2 years is anything and everything sold.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could have a completely outdated house and you're still getting 10 offers. It just was that crazy of a frenzy.
Right.
Because there was a absurd amount of buyers.
Yeah.
Because money was just so cheap. And I think the higher interest rates, for wrong reasons, have, I think, pushed people away. Again, sure, it may have pushed some people financially out of the picture, being that now it's a couple $100 more per month on their mortgage payment.
Right.
Which it makes sense. You got I always encourage you, stick within a budget. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense at this point. But when it comes to where we've been coming out of,
right,
market-wise, I can't tell you enough how, now is the time. I mean, I literally just placed an offer for a house, $15,000 below asking with seller concessions, and let's just say we're talking.
Right.
It's not
You're in the picture.
It's not like pound sand, bro.
Right.
You kidding me? No, because this house has already stayed on the market for 2 weeks. And I think so many people are like, 2 weeks? Your house has been on the market for 2 weeks? I mean, the average, and people don't believe this when I tell them this, out of this whole market craziness we're coming out of, the average home on market is still 26 days. No, it's not. Every house I've ever seen sold in 2 to 3 days. Okay, well, stats don't lie. I'll show you.
Right.
I'll take a screenshot and send it to you. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to for buyers, the competition it's never been better right now.
Right.
And it's hard to say it because we're still in a seller's market because inventory is still so low.
Right, but now you got your little rate hike that has deterred people.
That's why it's a weird market.
Yeah.
It's just odd because our inventory level, I've been saying this over and over again, the inventory level that we have is the link that is so different than 07, 08 that everyone still thinks we're heading towards. One, that was all about mortgages. People are just writing crap mortgages to begin with. Lenders were.
Right.
That can't happen anymore with all the red tape and regulations. It's not going to happen. And there's just no homes.
Average age first-time home buyer is 33 years old, and 33 years ago,
it's all that millennials.
Yeah. And with what happened with the crash, because there were so many homes, it's totally different.
Oh, yeah.
What happened back then.
No, there's so many different. It's not even close or even in comparison to what happened then. What else little housing data we can slip into?
All but the bubble in terms of recession. Home appreciation has always gone up during the recession.
Yeah.
So, even if you're thinking that recession time is, prices are going to drop and everything, that's not necessarily the case. Because homes are just continuously going up in value.
And a big driver of that is going to be inventory levels.
Right.
It just goes simply back to supply and demand. When you have a low supply of a product that is still demanded, your price is going to hold firm.
Right.
It's going to stay strong. And I think that's, I single-handedly, that's always the stat that, for me, and someone can argue me differently, but like, I don't care how bad the stock market gets or how bad this recession gets. I don't think it's going to be bad. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's going to be as bad as maybe the media is making it to be out, or sure, our inflation rate is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're starting to see the feds do some things to combat that.
Right.
To try to slow this market down a little bit. But I just single-handedly think that the inventory levels is, when it comes to real estate, home values, appreciation, home pricing, I just feel like they're just going to stay strong. Now, I say that in respect to what we've seen. I know you even had a stat that you just kind of, I think, mentioned off air, was that home values are up 20% from last year. Home pricing, or average home pricing, I think maybe what it was.
Appreciation.
Appreciation, which is true, because across the country, the last 2 years, so 2020 and 2021, and obviously being now more than halfway through 2022, home appreciation has been across the nation averaged of 12 to 20% in home appreciation. One, I'm sure that return you're not seeing on your 401k or stock right now.
Right.
So real estate is always a good purchase. But I think what we will see, into what I'm saying, through this recession with low inventory levels, is we may not be seeing this continuous 12 to 20% appreciation. Yeah. Which is like four
Unreal.
times higher than what a normal appreciation is. So I think that's what, because here, like, we as humans, we're creatures of habit, right? When something continuously happens and then something else changes, we think, oh, shoot, is the floor falling below us? No. We have just been a little tuned these last couple years to this god-awful 12 to 20% appreciation. So once it finally starts to get back to normal, everyone thinks like, oh, what's happening? Nothing. It's called normal.
Right.
We're going back to what normal appreciation is. It's 3 to 4%.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still
good
return on your investment for buying a house, because typical homeowners live in their house for 7 years. Isn't that the kind of the case?
Yeah.
I think it's 7 years. So buying a home can guarantee you 28% return on your money. And that's probably you not doing anything to your house. So if
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I mean, with how little out-of-pocket home buying costs these days, I mean, low is 3%.
Right.
And 28% return over 70. I mean, that's not
it's not
bad.
It's terrible.
No. And the cool thing is, guys, is what I said before. You're marrying the house, not your rate. So even if the interest rate is like your big concern right now, I mean, obviously, have a conversation with Devon of what the full financial picture looks like with your mortgage, but also understand in a year to 2 years, if that goes down again, just refinance.
Right.
And refinance don't cost you much to do.
No, it doesn't.
Does it cost you any out of pocket? It doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to.
You could just roll.
Potentially.
You could roll the what? $1,000, $2,000
yep.
closing costs into the loan.
Yep.
Lower your mortgage monthly payment.
Or you can keep it the same and take away years. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do.
When it comes to your rate and the mortgage, there's always options.
Right.
You're not locked into it. And Devin, I know you can always go over that with people like, hey, this is what we'll do. In maybe in 6 months or a year, we could talk.
Right.
See where we're at rate wise, and
see if it
makes sense to pull a trigger on a refi, or we just wait a little bit till it goes lower. I mean, like, I wouldn't be, just because I'm hearing it from a lot of clients, like the rate is the big issue, and it's trying to just. I think lately us in the real estate business is just trying to get everyone stuck off this, I think, preconceived notion of, oh, it's too high.
Right.
It's not a good time to buy. No, let's look at the real sense of what home ownership looks like, in that it's not just about your rate today. For you to say no to a great financial investment for yourself or your family future.
Yeah.
I think that's just what it's coming down to these days, and just kind of hopefully, just trying to point people in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
That the rate, is higher than it was, but it's not bad.
Right.
And your home's still going to appreciate.
You're not talking 18%.
Good Lord, no. I remember my parents' first mortgage in the 80s. It was like 14%. Regardless, homes were a lot cheaper, but I don't care if it's $40,000 or $200,000.
Right.
That's a lot of interest.
Yeah. And I mean, even if rates do come down, I mean, home appreciation is still going up, so the value is going to be still there. So you're going to still pay more. So might as well.
Yeah, that's a good example to even use to say, hey, okay, let's say you bought this house today. I don't have a graph, or I probably could find one or just create one, something where it's like, if you bought this house today at $200,000 at 6% interest rate, or waited, say 2 years, just a little 2 years. Let's say it did a normal 4% appreciation. What's 4% of 2? That's like what, $7,500? Maybe
4% of 200.
Yeah.
8.
Is it 8? Yeah, 8. So 8 times, then you go 208 times 4. So it's a little off, but we'll just say 216. We'll say 217. I'm sure it's something close to that, right? Because you got to take 208 times 1.04, 216, 320. So you've already just cost yourself $16,000 more dollars waiting because the house appreciated.
Right.
Or you could have bought it today for $200,000, and then 2 years later, but my interest rate be lower. Okay, refinance.
Right. And
you bought the house for $16,000 less, and you also refinanced when it was lower, and it cost you maybe $1,500 to do.
You never know. Maybe your home appreciates then too, obviously. So,
and it could appreciate more. I mean, I'm just going off a very conservative 4%.
Right, but I mean, you could have just been in there for a little bit, and if home prices keep going up, your home has potential to appreciate for more, have a higher value, and then when you refinance, I mean, there's more options in terms of if you only put maybe minimum % down, and then now you can get rid of your MI if the value's higher than what they were expecting. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with it.
Right.
I mean, but like you said, 16,000. If you would have just did it when you realistically had an option to, and you could do it, I mean, it just cost you more money.
I always look at it this way too. It's like most people will put their money in the stock market, right? Everyone does. 401k, you name it, right?
Yep.
It's over the years has been the thing to do with your employer. 401k match, right? Huge draw for employment.
Mm-hmm.
That thing goes up and down more than a freaking yo-yo, right? But if we look at history, what is the most steadily investment? Real estate.
That was my first guess.
And so it's just, I was having this conversation with this other guy that I'm working with, and it's like, he even said, he's like, well, do I hate my interest rate? Yeah, I'm like, dude, but who he's like, but that's the thing. I'm buying the house for an investment. I mean, he's like, I'm planning on raising my kids here, so I know I'm going to be here for probably the next 20 years.
Right.
My house is only going to appreciate in value. Shoot, look at my parents. They bought their house for $90,000, and now they just sold it for $270,000. They bought it 30 years ago.
Right.
That's what happens with real estate, guys. It's not going to change. And I think, I don't know. I think just there's a lot of just fear in what's happened recently and the media. And it's like, guys, let's just look at data. and it'll tell you that real estate's going to appreciate. It appreciates on a more conservative, consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's why it's like, okay, let's even talk about how you should probably diversify your portfolio with some rental properties.
Right.
And then just
Rent's
instead of
going
just
up.
putting all of your money into the stock market, I mean, letting some hooplas over at Wall Street have all the fun with your money. Why don't you take your own money and put it into something that you can actually drive by every single day? Just because most investors always invest typically in their local market.
Right.
You can literally just go look at your investment. It's right there. You don't have to call your advisor and look at some numbers on a screen and go, hey, how's my money doing today?
Right.
I can go look at it. It's right there. And then you get renters to pay the mortgage for you.
Right.
Add a little cash flow. And what else does that house do? It appreciates. Your money grows. Plus, you have a little something to leave behind.
Right.
You know? So, yeah. Real estate always has been and always will be. I think there's a stat. Don't quote me on this. I might be just kind of pulling out of the cuff here, but I thought the statistic is like, out of all of the millionaires in the country, most of all their assets are held in real estate. Just because it's a tangible place to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tax benefits to it. I mean, it's...
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, it's... If the rich are putting most of their money in real estate, why aren't you? Is my question.
Right.
I mean, isn't that... I mean,
everybody wants to get rich quick. They think they're gonna hit that Amazon.
Yeah.
Or Facebook when it first came out.
I hate the stock market. Like, I love talking with our man Timothy Hook here about it, but like every time we talk about it and it's just like this constant, it's like screw the stock market. I don't know. I've never been a fan of it. I hate it. People make a lot of money off it, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Not my thing. I don't know. If you had Jess in here, she'd be like, no, we need to do more. She is a little more the riskier taker on the stock, where I'm just like, no, I'd rather just invest in real estate. Do some more flips. Start building a portfolio.
That's where she is your guac.
And I'm the salsa. John is laughing over on that one. Oh, good one. Good one. Let's see. New home sales. Let's look at those numbers. Jeez Louise. Look at that dip. Holy smokes. Look at that. 05. And then just plummeted all the way down to like nothing in 08.
Yep.
You know what's interesting to look at that graph, and I wish you guys could see this, honestly. I mean, you always see these ups and downs, right? Like new home sales went up, skyrocketed from 75 to 77, held firm all the way to about 79, and then went down in the 80s, probably because 13, 14, 15% interest rates. And then I'm sure as soon as Carter got out of office, interest rates went down. And 84, 87, I mean, for a while, early 90s, it looked like it dipped a little too, the beginning of 90s. And then from 90 all the way to 2005, like new home sales just continuously climbed this huge mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously because of our wonderful housing crash, it just plummeted. I mean, they were up to, on annually doing, let's see, would be that, should be like almost 1.3 million in new home sales. To all the way down to, in 2010, only selling about 300,000. Mm-hmm. But I know that's also to kind of speak a little bit on the new home sales, new construction. Like we're 4.5 million homes behind.
Right.
on the demand of new homes in the country. Like, that's a lot of homes to be
That's
built.
a lot of homes.
And it doesn't help that we just came out of a pandemic or still in it where we're feeling the supply issues.
Right.
With wood. Wood had I was happy to see it's down quite a bit again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still high, but then it went
it's-
really high,
Right.
and then it came back. I think the Canada strike or truck strike didn't help that.
Right, yeah.
But so ever since, obviously, I don't know, what year do you even really say that crash? Was it 06 when it really began? 07, 08? I mean, let's just face it. The stats here show you it just started to plummet in the late of 05. And then it just, in the matter of 3 years, just dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped. Like a pin drop, just from here down.
Straight down.
Yeah. But ever since, obviously, the apex, right? The apex is the bottom. Climax is the top. Am I saying that right? I don't know. I'm not a graph guy. Is the apex
Isn't
the bottom?
apex the top?
Oh, that's the
Apex is
climax.
top.
No? Johnny, do you know?
John-
Nope. You look it up. I mean, the apex does kind of sound like a top. I thought that was the climax.
Well, the climax is the top.
Yeah. Apex is where it begins to climb.
Apex is the uppermost point.
Oh, well.
You're doing two.
Why do you have...
Climax isn't a story. The climax of a story. Built.
I like
it's at the climax.
climaxes.
Just
Yeah.
like Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
And they end it at the climax. Yeah, so we've been in this climb ever since 11. And right before, COVID hit. And then it's funny, actually. This is actually quite interesting. If you see this graph, COVID hit in April. There was, in new home construction, there was a little dip. Wasn't massive, but it dipped.
Mm-hmm.
And then from April to August, there was just this massive increase again. But what's ironic is we were like in horrible supply issues right at the very beginning. Like everything production stopped. I wonder if maybe that
You're
during
talking
that
about
period it was just like they went through all the supply we currently had.
You talking about the new home sales or the?
Yeah, new home sales.
It's probably because I felt like most people were with COVID. They wanted space. Everybody was getting out of their apartments and the condos
Oh, for sure.
because they were working from home and they're close to others and they started wanting space. That's why the big explosion of home sales and.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But typically new construction is like cookie cutter. You could pass butter from window to window
Right.
from your neighbor, subdivisions. But I just think it was, I don't know, that's just kind of like, at first glance, I'm like, that's kind of right hot off the pandemic till August of 2020. There was just this, again, a massive surge. Which, if you look at the graph now, it went up, but then there's been a couple of dips. Like there was a decent dip from October of 2020 to November because everybody's out hunting.
Yep.
And then it went back up from November to December, went back down to February, back up March. And then there was just a pretty steady decline from March of 21 to June of 21. And then now we just kind of been doing this up and down. But as of April of 2022, we're back at the peak level of what it was right before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm. The apex.
So what does that say? I think kind of to where I've been saying. I think this craziness that we're in, I think is going away. And we're just getting back to normal. The word that we all thought never existed or couldn't exist again. Right?
The new normal.
No, it's just normal. Just like King Solomon says, there's nothing new under the sun. It just history repeats itself. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting to see. But that is a true thing, too, as well, is we are very behind. I don't think that's all. I think we were already behind. If I remember the article I read, it was a couple months ago, but like pre the 08 crash, we were still like 1.2 million behind on new construction. And then it's just been this continuous, like we're just getting further away from, because obviously the demand dipped for a while after that. But then the pandemic just really pushed it way back because all the supply issues.
Right.
Man, I remember, I haven't done a new construction in a hot minute, but the handful I did in the last couple of years, it was like, at contract. Yeah, we'll have the house built in 7 months. 10, 11 months later, we're now closing.
Yeah.
Because not only supply, but it was contractors.
Right. They couldn't get siding.
They couldn't get work. I remember one house in Brownstown I did. They had all the supplies of the house. They just couldn't get people there to do it. Companies would schedule it and then have to bump out because they'd have no help.
Right.
So that was kind of crazy to see. But existing home sales. I always love going back to the 05. Like, good Lord. They sold 7.2 million in, was the highest. Geez, what is this, like daily numbers here? Oh, it's monthly. 7.2 is like the highest in existing home sales. And we peaked out in November of 2020 or September of 2020. Oh, no. I should probably zoom in a little bit. It's making this difficult for me. October of 2020 is 6.8. So pre-COVID, we were at 5.7. We were pretty consistent. It was like 5.5, 5.3, 5.6, 5.2, 5.4, 5.3, 5.2, 5 point, and then COVID hit, and we dropped all the way down to 3.9, and then shot all the way back up to 6.8 within the matter of 7 months. And it's just kind of interesting. Like, 2021 was a hot year too. But if you look at the data, it's 2021's kind of just been this slowly peak decrease. Because June of 2021, we dipped back down again to normal, 5.1. And then the end of last year, it pushed, everyone's trying to get a home before school.
Right.
Went up to 5.6. Kind of had steady. And then once December hit, after Christmas, February of this year, we shot back up to 6 million. But now, May, we're dipping back down to 5.4. And I would probably only guess June was a little lower. Maybe like 5.1 is my guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a little bit
But
lower.
We could probably wrap up on this. After looking at all these numbers and going back a little pre-COVID, seeing the dip because of COVID,
right?
There's a consistency. Permits, new construction, and existing homes. it was over here, and then COVID hit and it dropped.
Right.
And then we came out of COVID, and then now we're doing this to get back to where the same level we were pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going on a limb here, I think,
Okay. You hang out on that.
to say we're okay.
Yeah.
We're all right. We're getting back to normal.
There you go.
I'm going to say it right now on record. July 6th, 2022. How many? That was what, 27 months later? Yeah, because really April of 2020 was the hit.
Right.
We're getting back to normal 27 months later.
Not too bad.
You believe that, though? If I was to go back to April of 2020
No, I can't.
and you were, or it was really, wasn't it mid-March when they
Yeah.
did the shutdown?
Yeah.
If I was standing next to you, Devin, be like, hey, it's this pandemic that, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say, 2 weeks to stop the curve is actually 27 months.
There's a 2 in it.
That's right. 2 weeks, 27 months, which is really what, 56, 54, 54 weeks later? No, more than that. Yeah, way more than that. 127 months is what? How many weeks?
52 weeks in a year.
Yeah. So 104 plus 4. So what, 116 weeks? Yeah, they missed that target a little. I mean, shoot. Hey, it's going to take us 2 weeks to build your boat. 116 weeks later, hey, we got the keys for you.
There you go.
Dude, that's
Crazy.
that's a free boat now.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's kind of what everyone was doing for the last 27 months, right? Free
Right.
boating.
Yep.
On our dime. Yeah, right? You're welcome. Now we're all paying for it, you idiots. That's what we said from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Print all this free money like it's just easily readable, right?
Right.
Somebody's paying for it.
It's just paper.
It's the American way.
Yeah.
Just charge. Charge it. Charge our grandkids. I don't got to pay it. I'll be dead. Anyways, no, I think that's interesting, though. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, the data doesn't lie, right?
Right. It's
That's
coming
why I
back
love
down.
data.
I mean, you couldn't keep those numbers going. with that
No.
consistency.
No. And I think that's just the time that we're going through. To wrap it up, I think we've inflated the market with everything that COVID did. I mean, I don't care what you believe, whether it was right or wrong. I mean, the way it was handled, things had to happen by what countries did.
Right.
Right? I mean, it wasn't just America.
Yeah.
It was worldwide, right? Whether maybe there's too many free stuff that we're now paying for. I mean, that's to be expected. Nothing's free.
Right.
Someone's got to pay for it one way or another. And I think we're just in the midst of that time
Mm-hmm.
where it's the free stuff is, I think, dwindling away, or we're now getting like, what's the, when a bomb drops, was the wave effect, right? The after,
Uh-huh.
the ripples,
shock
the ripple
wave,
effect.
ripple effect,
Yeah, the
yep.
ripple. I think that's what we're feeling is, hopefully it's probably the first wave of the ripple effect. And I think we just got to adjust.
Right.
Just got to adjust. It's not the craziness it's been. And,
Still
my
good
Dave
time.
Ramsey tip for the day is cut the subscriptions that you may have put too many on there. Got too many Hulu subscriptions out
Right.
there over the last, who didn't subscribe to all that crap because of COVID.
Right.
Maybe it's
That
time
is
to
true.
cut. And,
Buy a house.
and buy a house. Grow your money. Stop sending it to Hulu. Put it in your pocket.
There you go.
So, and like you said, too, I mean, rent is just astronomical. So,
Right.
I mean, we have a client that their rent's about to go up insanely amount, which is just crazy.
After they just raised it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're able to, I mean, give them estimate numbers on homes $300-$400 cheaper than what their rent's going to be.
Right.
And we've had many conversations like, guys, that's now you're putting that money into your pocket instead of someone else's. I mean, you're literally, I say this, you're putting a lighter to money.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand there's certain circumstances and things why people have to rent. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There's a time and a season for everything. And you talk to the right people like us. And I know Devin was telling money, be like, hey, that's not the right time. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your choice. But I'd rather just be putting my money into my house and not just putting a lighter to it.
Right.
I don't think that's financially smart either. But again, not saying running is horrible. It's just take a couple minutes and find out, what it could be like to own your own home.
Right.
You know? There's a reason why that landlord bought that house. It's called income.
Ooh.
Let's make some income for yourself.
Right.
Right? I think it's more readily available than most people think.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So, anyways, that was, I think, good stuff. Hopefully, those of you who listened can take away some interesting numbers from that. I know it's hard sometimes to just hear us talk about numbers or there's no numbers on the screens, but we'll maybe have to work on maybe getting some stuff ahead of time to Johnny to put up on the screen. That could be possible, right? Yeah. See? Yeah. We just got to work on that.
Yeah. We strive for progress, not perfection.
That's right.
Right.
But interesting to see. I think we're just getting back to normal, which is good.
Yeah.
Not a new normal, just normal. Normal.
Just one word.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Took some things from it, some nuggets on some data. Maybe we'll do it again soon like we do with Timothy Hooker. Do a little data stat update.
Yeah.
It's always good to kind of see what's going on in the last couple months. See the trends. But yeah, so good. Any last comments?
Bye now.
Buy now. Real estate, real estate's buy and hold, right? It's not like stock markets where you're buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. Real estate's buy and hold. You're holding it. Your investment's holding, and you can see it. So I agree. It's never been a better time to buy than right now in the last couple of years. That's a true statement.
Yeah.
100%.
I would agree.
So, all right. Well, I'm Paul Seguin with eXp Realty.
I'm Devin Carl, Cold Star Mortgage.
This is the Car and Seguin Show. See you.
The primary purpose of this podcast series is to inform, entertain, and educate. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast series do not constitute legal or professional advice, opinions, or endorsements of any kind. Gold Star Mortgage Financial Group, NMLS 3446, Equal Housing Lender.